Okay, so I will just quickly introduce a bit about Liquid, some features about Liquid, and maybe later we'll do a very brief workshop on how you can do it, how you can play with it. So, very briefly about me, I'm a software engineer as a background. I co-founded Group Ventures, which is a tech company working in the Bitcoin, especially in the Liquid space. I'm a contributor in TDEX, which is an open source protocol, so that we will see more about later. I started my Bitcoin career launching an OTC cash-only desk in the north of Italy. We put like the first ATM of Bitcoin, so that was my beginning. But yeah, now I'm more in the application, especially in the Liquid protocol. So I'm working, as I was mentioning, in a couple of things. We will see later most of them. Just briefly, if you are a developer, you want to quickly install a blockchain in your system just to play with it. You can use Nigiri, which is basically a box for developer to spin up all your development environment for you. We in our company we are launching also Marina, which is basically, I would call it the MetaMask of Liquid. So it's a browser extension that lets you connect to the Liquid network in your browser. So you can do a lot of application kind of trading or like, synthetic or like kind of all of these games that they call it Bitcoin DeFi. And yeah, TDEX especially. So all of these kind of things are on Liquid network. I will just briefly introduce what Liquid network is. Liquid is literally another blockchain. But with a caveat, there is no token. All the fees that you need to pay to use this new blockchain, I would say, is not a new token, but is Bitcoin called Liquid Bitcoin, LBTC. And there is a process where basically you can peg in and you can basically transform your Bitcoin in Liquid Bitcoin, and a process to peg out. So you can go out and get your Bitcoin on the main chain. There are a couple of properties. I would say, as Tom mentioned before, definitely, Liquid has different trust properties than Bitcoin main chain, because the Bitcoin that you are pegging and you want to become LBTC, they are held by a federation. So it's a multi-signature. We already heard about multi-signature for personal uses, but actually you can use it even for corporation, organization, and Liquid is I would say, a governance with a federation that keeps in a very large multi-signature set, minimum 15 functionaries, so 15 co-signer, keeps all the Bitcoin secure and allows people to also to peg out. So we release the Bitcoin on the main chain when you burn Liquid Bitcoin on Liquid. As couple. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was talking about more peg in and peg out, this process. So where basically you deposit on a Bitcoin address, which is a multi-signature. Then okay, and yeah, and then you get Liquid Bitcoin on the other side. You can then use it for many use cases that we will see later, and then you can peg out and get out your Bitcoin. There are a couple of features that I think that a Liquid network can be a scaling solution for Bitcoin, but in my opinion, I will counter-argue Tone on this, as that allows you to do a couple of financial primitives that maybe Bitcoin will never have. First, in my opinion, is confidential transaction. Who are familiar with Monero or Zcash, basically every transaction on Liquid can be confidential, meaning that the asset and the type, the amount and the asset are blinded, which means encrypted. And this is very important, in my opinion, for all financial application, because in the current banking system, you have confidentiality. You and your banker, maybe the state, of course, but there is confidentiality. On other smart contract platform where everything is public, like Ethereum, basically everyone, even your trader, your competitor, has information about you. So there is this so-called front running, right? And this is very important. So I think for a real, I would say, decentralized finance, you need confidentiality. So you need a way to not dox your own moves, your own trades to your competitor and to other people in the world. So I think Liquid has this primitive, which is very important in my opinion. And yes, native asset issuance, meaning that each asset, Liquid BTC or whatever asset like Tether, which is on Liquid, is from a technical standpoint literally identical to each other. So there is no technical difference between them. So all applications treat the assets in the same way. What does it mean? Again, I will just pick it up an example from other platforms like in Ethereum. In Ethereum, you have two different. You have Ether, which is the native token, and then you have this ERC20 standard, which is literally creating a lot of problems for application developer because there are literally two kinds of things, and you need to treat them in a very different way. So this for developer, the fact that the asset issuance is a normal transaction, is a detail of the transaction, that's very important. Yes, 1 minute block time. 1 minute block time is, I think, much better than 10 minutes, like in Bitcoin, and especially the fact that the time are deterministic, meaning that 1 minute is guaranteed. Instead, in Bitcoin, the 10 minutes is just probabilistic. It's not always that because you need miners to create blocks, and it's not, of course, a clock. But in Liquid, you have 1 minute deterministic block time. And this is definitely not great like Lightning Network that we saw yesterday. Yesterday in Lightning Network we saw that in a couple of seconds you got settlement, but I guess for use cases like moving huge chunks or maybe stable coins, 1 minute is really, really great as a settlement time compared to 10 minutes. Then yes, you have atomic swaps. Atomic swaps is another very important financial primitive. And this is a bit on how Liquid has been built, because it has been built on a UTXO model. You heard about this term UTXO yesterday, and this allows you to do basically a way to swap two assets, two tokens, in a way that is went away. Anyway. Atomic swap meaning that either the transaction is completed or not at all. So nobody can sneak in and be the middleman and just steal one asset. So either it's completed or not, and this is done off chain by exchanging signature between two parties. It's not done by any exotic like smart contract or something. And then yes, covenants. What covenants means is what cool kids call smart contracts. But I will say in the low, in a low term, covenants means that I can add to my transaction, to my holdings, to my coin, some specific restriction on how and where they can be spent. So these more or less are the primitives that I think that are interesting for financial application, and some of them can go to Bitcoin. Maybe there are a lot of covenants to Bitcoin main chain. There are a lot of covenants proposal that can help, like in network on a side that we learned yesterday about like you need to keep your backup, your state channel backups that would be out like in network, or maybe there are other proposals to do better bolts. So you can create, imagine like some sort of emergency recovery process where when you spend from your multi-signature, you have some time, I would say one day, 1 week, where the money are enforced to go to a specific address, and this will allow you to do like emergency vault, which should definitely improve Bitcoin. So some stuff definitely can go to Bitcoin, and Liquid is kind of a test bed for these new things that Bitcoin can, if they prove to be valuable, they can be merged. Other stuff will be very hard to merge, like for example confidential transaction, which is okay, very nice to have on a base layer, but I don't think that will be ever consensus to get that, because it's I would say like exotic cryptography kind of technology, and I think that it's very hard to push these things on the base layer. There are other, like I would say, objection about confidential transaction, but maybe we can discuss later in the Q&A. And of course, asset issuance, I don't think that will ever get merged on the Bitcoin base layer. Okay, couple of words about atomic swaps. Atomic swaps basically allows, imagine that you are creating your own transaction that moves like on Bitcoin, like one Bitcoin for you to another person. I can, for example, just sign my Bitcoin, and then someone else on the Liquid network has like Tether, for example, or another assets, or some shares of some company, some security. And basically also signing that he wants to send to me. I'm signing that I want to send Bitcoin to him in exchange. These two signatures are done in a, I would say, client side only, meaning that there is no server. I'm just doing in my own wallet, like using Spectre or whatever, just for example, that you mentioned yesterday. But when we join these two signatures, we go to the blockchain, right, to the Liquid blockchain, we broadcast this transaction, and the swaps is done in an atomic way, so it will get either, settled or not at all. Okay, about covenants, I think that just to give more words about this, I would say smart contracts. I put in, like double quotes because as a tone, I'm also skeptics about the term smart contracts, but it's very catchy and I understand why they're used. We already have contracts, smart contracts on Bitcoin, but they just define the type of smart contract that we can do on Bitcoin. Just defines who can spend your money. This is basically just normal single signature we mentioned yesterday kind of wallet, so public and private key cryptography. So I own the private key, I can move. So the blockchain is just enforcing who can spend these coins. And also yesterday we mentioned about time block. So we can kind of put some, I would say, some definition that these coins can be moved after 1 year, or a condition that a policy basically that will just define when they can be spent. And those I think that are very great. Also like multi-signature, for example, are very great. But still, you cannot enforce the where and how these coins are being spent. And there are a couple of use cases that definitely also just Bitcoin and not only assets or more advanced application, but especially on Liquid, the fact that you can do issuance, it allows you to do some use cases like synthetic kind of dollar, for example, you can do, or a synthetic stock, for example, you can do over-collateralized loans. So we can have an oracle that basically allows us to liquidate when a certain threshold goes down, or if it's redeemed, that's fine. So there are a couple of applications in that sense that can be done with covenants. And as I was mentioned before, in Bitcoin, covenants will benefit, especially for better vaults. So more secure, more advanced way of protect your Bitcoin. So okay, which type of application you can do on Liquid at the moment? There are a couple of applications of these primitives that I introduced to use, right? So one of these is TDEX, which I'm also a contributor, but TDEX is literally an open source protocol. Everything in the protocol is open and is run by independent parties. And it allows you to create what is called automated market making on Liquid. The most similar concept could be Uniswap on other platforms like on Ethereum. And at the moment, there is a mobile app, open source, that everyone can download on their store. We will do a demo about this later. The idea behind TDEX is that you have two persons acting in an exchange. You have traders. They want just to buy, sell, and they are great just to buy and sell and just turn off their own computer. And then you have like market makers that at the moment they do their own job in centralized exchange, most of them, right, where liquidity is. And they trust exchanges with their own funds because they put liquidity in, usually, for example, you have a pair like Bitcoin versus Tether. So those market makers are putting two reserves for these two assets in the hands of centralized exchange. And these, of course, are regulated by normal, contracts between, two parties, between a company and another entity. But the idea behind TDEX is that market makers can literally run their own exchange server and advertise liquidity in the TDEX protocol in a way that basically all traders that maybe download a mobile app or maybe are using like a browser kind of clients can contact these market makers and negotiate a price and get done with atomic swaps, right? And this is very helpful because you don't need to have like kind of I would say order books and people like laying, oh, I have something to offer, what you have and so on, which doesn't scale. It never scaled even the first Bitcoin like kind of like I remember like Omni or other token on Bitcoin that were trying to do this, but the idea behind automated market making is indeed to have always liquidity in both assets in a pair, and the trader just opens his browser, trades, turn off. He doesn't need to have a node, he doesn't need to have like a complex structure, but at the same time, thanks to atomic swaps, it doesn't need to deposit his own funds in an exchange or to someone else. So that's more or less the idea. We'll see later. We will try to trade some assets on it. Then, of course, I want to talk about more Marina, which basically is a browser extension that you can install in your browser and allows developer to develop their own web application and to interact with Liquid Network in a way that the browser imagine can just connect to Marina and say, hey, give me the address of the user, of course upon consent, and maybe I want to construct this atomic swap transaction, or I want to do this synthetic asset issuance, blah blah blah, all these kind of DeFi kind of games. That's definitely something that could help to foster an ecosystem of web application that interact directly with liquid contracts in general.
This is like MetaMask.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Guys, if you are already familiar with Ethereum, I will say that this is the MetaMask of Liquid Network. And as I showed before, you can use TDEX on a mobile app, but you can also, for example, use it in a browser page, very similar to Uniswap works. You keep your keys on Marina, so Marina connects to various applications, and the web application doesn't keep any custody of the funds. It just constructs the liquid transaction, which is very similar to a Bitcoin transaction in the browser, and just prompt Marina to say, hey, just countersign this transaction. So now I will just move to the computer so we can just see this live, I would say.
Like the recent big wave in Ethereum price was caused by the high transaction fees of Ethereum. The high transaction fees of Ethereum, because there were too many things being built on Ethereum, created hodlers out of Ethereum holders because they don't want to move their stuff. Like Ethereum went from being transactional to being a store of value by default because no one wanted to move their tokens on top. So moving a lot of the stuff to Bitcoin, while we don't like it, we know that's going to increase the value of Bitcoin. Well, we don't know that for sure, but it's likely to increase the value of the Bitcoin.
And just to add on that, my personal view is that, and how Liquid is used nowadays, is definitely not for Floki or Shiba or something like that, but most of the, I think, financial primitives are about security tokens. So I think that even though now we are going to do a Shiba token now just to show, but I really think that it's very interesting in all the security market what 24-hour, 7-day trading can offer to the normal security market. So I definitely think that Liquid have all the primitives to do this and help the security market to foster. I think I'm very glad that Floki, Shiba Inu are on other blockchains, so they can just have fun. So I was saying that is a normal transaction on Liquid allows you to do not only atomic swap but also to create new issuances. So I'm going to connect my wallet. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So basically what I was saying before, that very similar to MetaMask, Marina, which is a normal liquid wallet that everyone can download, install, and the process is identical to a Bitcoin wallet. So we'll, prompt the user to say, hey, this website can access my balances, can access, can just view my own coins. That is an allowance to tell to the website it can construct the transaction. So once we are connected, we are just, creating can I use a tone token? Or who wants to, you want a tone token? It's fine? No, I'm joking.
No, I was going to do it at one point at this conference, but I'm sure someone already created a tone token.
Let's do a tone token on Liquid.
Sure. Well, but if I actually want to do a tone token later, am I going to be able to?
Yes. A proper one, do you mean something that you can proper doing?
This is not proper? No, I was going to say,
proper was a fun.
No, I was going to say, if you create a tone token, will I be able to create a tone token one day, or
yes.
are you going to take over the
No, I will not squat your own ticker, so you can decide.
Perfect.
We'll let you.
So I will just, let's TOK, or something like this. I don't care.
That's fine.
So I will do an NFT actually, so it's not fungible. If that's something that doesn't bother you.
This is live on Liquid.
Yes, we are creating. So basically what's happening here is that the website is creating the issuance transaction, adding all the, I would say the under low-level details to your transaction, and just asking the browser extension to sign this transaction, and will give me the ownership of the asset at some point.
And it's not very secure message. This transaction can spend all of your funds.
Yes, not very secure. It will at some point it will happen to be more to show you what's happening and so on, but definitely will improve.
So don't do
it's possible.
Don't do it with their models.
100%, but in general, my opinion is that on Liquid is like an exchange, so don't put more Bitcoin than you're afford to lose, but that's in general, right? And I think that once you're there, you use only Bitcoin to do all these financial kind of contracts, where if you have maybe just some Bitcoin to pay for fees, Liquid Bitcoin to pay for fees, then you can have Tether, you can have all other kind of, more advanced financial applications. So definitely on Marina, I will not suggest you to keep millions of your own Bitcoin. Bitcoin main chain is very great for that. This is more for, my opinion, experimentation, covenants, and asset issuance, more are exotic financial application, which at some point maybe can be merged on Bitcoin or not. So that's my view. So okay, we basically created our tone token. Shout out to Mempool, so again, which Mempool literally created a version of their own block explorer, but for Liquid. So basically, as you cannot see here, and that's why I was saying before, I think one of the primitive for a real financial, decentralized finance can happen on Liquid is that everything here is, sorry, I will zoom out. As you can see, nobody can see what we are doing here, confidential. Meaning that we don't know, we just see a normal transaction, so we know that something happened there, but we don't see what we did here. We could have done 1 million of Bitcoin, Liquid Bitcoin moved, 1 million of Tether, whatever, but actually nobody knows from outside. An external observer cannot know what's happening here. And I think that's really what, I think that can mimic what the normal finance, the traditional finance is about. So only you and your banker knows about your detail, but not all the world.
Does fee does not correlate to what we've done?
The fee, do you mean? Yeah, the fee are in clear, the fee that we pay in the blockchain, and those are paid in Liquid BTC. So I think this is important because every Bitcoin on the main chain is verifiable, baked 1-1 on Liquid. So the fact that transaction fees are clear, are needed to see, you know, that everything is one-on-one baked. But beside of that, beside the fees, everything is confidential. So if I paste, I wanted just to shout out liquid.network, which is a mempool version for Liquid, but actually if I go to blockstream.info, I can see more detail about our asset issuance. So you have all the details that you can see on a Bitcoin transaction, like the script and so on. But again, everything is confidential and cannot be, decoded. So let me open my Marina so we can just see our asset, our Tone token.
Is there a fee to mint a token?
Yes. These transaction fees are you seeing here are paid in Liquid BTC. It's around 600 Satoshi, so not that much. So it's very similar to a normal Bitcoin transaction. So I can just show you here, this is an NFT for lightnight.io, which is basically a Fortnite version where basically you play and you get, like rewards in Lightning Network. And all the skins, for who is familiar with Fortnite, with our artifacts in the game, like, I don't know, like some sword or some t-shirt in the game, they are actually Liquid NFTs. So what does it mean? It means that if tomorrow, the Lightnight video game developer just shut down their own database, people can still trade these artifacts, which is very similar to what, kids does with, soccer players, like cards and so on. So I'm just watching if my Marina is recognizing my token. There we go. So as you can see here now, we mint like an NFT, which is 0.00000001 precision. Here is not, there is no Tone token, so we cannot see the detail yet because I didn't register on the I would say registry of Liquid. But the idea that eventually all other wallets will just recognize our own name and ticker at some point. As you can see here, I had two assets here. This is the actual assets, the Tone token, and then I have another token here. This is a special token called reissuance token that every time you do an issuance on Liquid, if you wish, and I just program my web app to do this, basically grants me the permission to reissue more of this token I already issued here. I could have not done, but maybe some use cases are useful, like for example, like stocks or like security tokens. You want to do more issuance of your own shares and so on. And this token is literally a normal Liquid asset, so I can literally send to someone here in the venue, and they will be like the ones with the privilege to to issue more of that specific asset. So that's more or less, what you can do on Liquid. So the fees are very low. You don't need a special like exotic altcoin to do like issuances, which are use cases that in some contexts can be useful. And that's more or less. Of course, the next thing that I want to show you guys, and I think that yesterday you already have had a way, to install a Bitcoin wallet, is to install TDEX mobile app. So we are going to just trade and see how you can do an atomic swap actually with your own hands. Right, either Android or iOS, to go on the stores like you did yesterday with when downloaded Blue Wallet and install TDEX. So let me show you. Yes, Dubai has a Blocks Aurora store apparently, which is I would say cyberpunk version of Play Store, so without Google.
What application do you use?
I don't use Play Store. I don't have Play services on my phone. So I use Aurora Store, which is a throwaway Play Store kind of replacement. So my phone doesn't have any Play services in it.
On iPhone?
No, Android Pixel.
Not an iPhone,
Not an iPhone.
Nobody uses iPhone here?
unless you jailbreak it, and then you have other issues.
Exactly.
But I can write here if my phone doesn't work.
TrueDex, no?
Yes, TrueDex.
True.
Yes, exactly. I'm looking in the
7 left.
uh-huh. This is the logo. If you guys are downloading or you found already. Or, but thank you. So when you guys are ready, we can proceed. Okay, so I just showing you how, like when you have like some assets in the wallet, I will just do a trade, and then when people are ready, I will send you around some Tether or some asset. Very nice. Okay. So imagine that you already done the onboarding, which is very similar to what you guys have done with Blue Wallets or Green or Jade yesterday, which is very, very similar. Compared to Lightning, you don't have, it's literally like on-chain Bitcoin, so you just need to back up the 12 words I will give you to you, and is all what you need to restore your liquid asset, your liquid wallet. So here, maybe, as you can see, I have a couple of assets here. I have Bitcoin, I have Tether, I have Liquid CAD, which is another representation of the Canadian dollar. Oops. Of the Canadian dollar on Liquid. I have some other Blockstream Jade. I used this token to buy the Jade from their own store. They were accepting this redemption token. It's kind of a ticket that you can use. So this is a normal wallet on this side, right? So it just keeps you Bitcoin plus, like Tether and technically all other liquid assets. From TDEX mobile app, you have this very useful feature, and I think it's the only wallet actually in the liquid space that allows you from the UI to peg in Bitcoin and let them become liquid Bitcoin. So basically when you go to deposit, it will ask you what you want to deposit, or either all normal assets, or you can deposit Bitcoin. Automatically all the Bitcoin you deposit here will be pegged, so the pegging process will start and they will become liquid Bitcoin. So technically it's not a Bitcoin wallet, it's only a liquid wallet, but it allows you to peg in from the UI in a normal way. So yeah, the BTC option is just a normal Bitcoin address. And as I was telling before, this pegging process means that I'm depositing my Bitcoin in a multi-signature of the federation, which is of course launched by Blockstream, but there are a lot of functionality that they are not disclosed, they are not known, and they are like 15 now, but in the future there will be much more. So basically you have multiple entities in different jurisdictions that owns that multi-signature, and it will just do as a watchman to release your funds when you want to go out and get Bitcoin back from Liquid. Anyway.
Such a long time. It said 1 or 2
confirmations.
So that's 1 day.
102 minutes.
Exactly. So you need to wait at most 18 hours to get your
conversion.
Yes. No, it's not conversion technically. It's literally like
For the pegging.
just to claim, because of course, as you maybe yesterday we didn't talk about, but in Bitcoin there is no finality, right? So
Very, very long time.
the blockchain can always be reorg on Bitcoin, right? So 100 blocks is very long time, but it's a safe number of blocks that we can say that nobody's reorging Bitcoin, right? Maybe in the future will be lower that by the Liquid Federation, but I think it's the safe bet because miner can reorg. I think we had already 2-3 blocks reorg already normally happening. So if you are too low, the number of blocks that you are waiting, you can risk basically to deposit fake Bitcoin.
Yeah, but like the thing is, in the future there can be like a swap market where it could be much faster. There's like no
Exactly.
reason for the end user to actually do the pegging. The pegging is kind of like a
Absolutely.
bulk for some like
100%. Of course, markets can happen. So people that already are there are many websites like that are offering this service very fast to get liquid Bitcoin. But I'm showing to you the trust minimized way to do this without any intermediary, any like kind of markets that you don't need any market. So automatically by protocol, when you deposit on the federation, on the Liquid Federation, it will get you credit liquid Bitcoin. So this is the most like trust minimized way to get liquid Bitcoin. Of course, there are faster way where you need to rely on liquidity offered by someone else. So okay, let's go to the fun stuff. I mean, besides being a liquid wallet, is a way to trade against the liquidity provider I was telling before. So every market maker is basically running his own server with his own liquidity in each pair, in each trading pair, and TDEX basically is just a protocol that lets mobile apps, browser apps, traders in general, traders clients to connect, discover these market makers and just select the best. In this mobile application, we just offer you the one with best liquidity as a choice, but anyone, being an open source protocol, anyone can develop his own trader app or a desktop app or a trading bot and decide how to connect to liquidity provider. Just to show you this, for example, if I go in settings, I can literally choose my liquidity providers. At the moment in the network there are these four liquidity providers. Most of them are running behind Tor, so we don't really know who is running liquidity. And of course, they are not disclosing their own IP address. But for example, I can just decide to add a provider and maybe my own self or someone that I know directly. So that's the idea, right? So it's an open API, an open market for market maker to advertise themselves. And then, traders will decide the best price, the best balance, or a combination of these things, or the most reliable market maker in the market, which is, in the end, the reason why maybe you choose Binance, Kraken, or other centralized venue, right? So when we go here, for example, you have here liquid BTC and USDT as a default pair, but for example, I can decide others. So now in the markets, most of the people in Liquid are offering liquidity for Tether or Liquid CAD, LCAD, I don't know how to spell it best, which is a Canadian dollar representation of Liquid, by Bull Bitcoin, which is a Canadian exchange. So for example, we go with Tether now, so let's buy like, for example, $5. So it will connect to this market maker, which is advertised here, which is this onion address, which I don't know who he is. I will just ask me to unlock my SIP. Very simple, it's 99999, so you can steal my. What is happening now is literally that the transaction is being signed by me, and then there is a interactivity with the market maker to say, hey, I signed my own coin, so my own LBTC, please countersign at the price that you are advertising at this price, and then he will countersign and respond to me, and then we will have a transaction in the hands, me in my hands, in his hands, but nobody, neither me or the liquidity provider can just, change some detail, because it will invalidate the signature. And this, I think, that is something that we inherit by Bitcoin, UTXO model. So Liquid is just adding liquid asset issuance, which allows you to do these kind of things in a native, very easy way. So in this process, there is no on-chain smart contract that does this. Literally, we are just signing in our own wallets, and then we just agree on the terms, and then we broadcast to Liquid.
To coin join, is it like just one
Exactly.
transaction?
Absolutely, 100% is a coin join, but it's not just in Bitcoin. You can only coin join Bitcoin with other Bitcoin. On Liquid, you coin join with other asset potentially. So actually, yes, atomic swap are coin joins between different asset type. On the chain, I think that now will be confirmed because it should be or either 1 minute or 2 minutes. Again, on Mempool Space Explorer. Yeah, if my internet. Okay. So again, as the asset issuance, I don't see. Okay, maybe it's better on the desktop. I'm sending a transaction hash on the Telegram group of the conference. Can you switch, please? Excuse me. Can you switch the? Thank you. Okay, so as we saw before, let me zoom a bit. Everything is confidential, so nobody from outside, an external observer, can literally know about what's happening here. We can literally do we did a trade of $5 of Tether, but it can be 5 million, and nobody can know it from an external observation. And maybe, as you can see, we have before we talk about UTXO, so we have some inputs, right? Some coin that has been spent on this side, on the left side, and then we have the results, what we call outputs. And of course, there is some change as well because there are some fees. Someone is paying the fees. Someone else is putting. For example, this can be Tether. This can be like the BTC of the trader. This can be just a fee, an extra input for the fee, and all of this, will be literally in atomic swap. Send one to the provider and one to me in my mobile app. If everybody are already downloaded, maybe if I access to the Telegram group can send the address, like a Liquid BTC address there or a Tether address there. I will send some coin to try some trading on the app. Okay. I will send one Tether to the first one, and one Tether to Bitfanatic. Okay.
Who is earning the fee?
Sorry?
Who is earning the fee?
The market maker. So the market maker is taking a cut on every swap. In our current implementation, but everyone can develop his own server, but the open source TDEX implementation for the market maker side allows you to dictate a percentage fee and also and/or a fixed fee if you wish. So.
Do you
How? I don't make money out of TDEX. TDEX are no protocol fee, so there is no like protocol fee rug pull technology in it. So yeah, TDEX is completely open, and I'm one of the contributors as many others. So I think it's the only way, right? So,
Slippage?
the thing is that the slippage, being everything done off chain, so you don't have this concept of slippage on chain because you don't need to wait a transaction to be confirmed.
Just confirm on both sides and
Exactly.
agree that
So I will say that you have 10 seconds, right? Just to
Okay.
do my signature, you do your own signature. Definitely could be some slippage, some change of price, and I
But
think that.
then you, sorry, because you said
Yep.
if it is changed, then you agreed on something, he has to agree on his end, and if there is a difference and he's agreeing on something else,
Exactly.
the transaction won't happen.
Exactly.
That's what you mentioned in the beginning. Either it happens or not.
Exactly. The protocol of the atomic swap protocol that TDEX created allows you to reject. As a trader, I propose, I go to the market maker and say, okay, I saw your price you're advertising. This is my signature. Then the market maker say, okay, my price changed.
Okay.
So I put less money now here. And then it comes back. Of course, the app that is very simple, the app, right, that I showed to you, which is very abstract this for you. But of course, the trader has the way to say, no, I will not,
Not sign it.
I will not countersign it, and I will
And then
just,
it's done.
nothing will happen. So, and the market maker will just go away. And
Are you signing it? Does it block anything?
it doesn't block anything. It doesn't block anything. There is an expiration time because the trader can hold the funds locked of the market maker for too much time. So usually there is an expiration time in the protocol. Decide the market maker, but usually can be like 2 minutes. If in 2 minutes you don't countersign and broadcast, the market maker will just double spend. Will just double spend your trades and will use it for someone next trade. So.
Okay.
You better like countersign because countersigning is literally 10 seconds. So if you don't do it in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's plausible that you get offline, you went away, or maybe some network problem, and it will not withhold the funds of the market maker that longer. So. I didn't forget about the first, so let me send some.
Yeah, he was over at the police station.
What happens if TDEX receives a block stream, like a liquid token that it doesn't recognize?
The thing is that actually there are many liquidity providers in the network, right? So everyone can literally create a market for every pair. So TDEX doesn't even need to support a
Don't
specific.
worry about it. It's designed, that's what you're saying. It's not important for TDEX to know what the pairs are. The market
Exactly.
makers
Exactly.
make the pairs.
TDEX is just a protocol, so market maker decide which. It can even be like Phantom token versus Tiero token. It doesn't even need to be like just LBTC, like in one of the asset in the pair.
Is it still possible to receive a liquid token that perhaps even the liquidity providers in your wallet don't, you still receive it to a liquid address, right?
No, impossible because in this dance of atomic swap construction, every side is always verifying what's inside the transaction. So it's confidential, meaning that between me and the market maker, we know the coins.
I
Okay,
mean just
sorry.
as a deposit into your actual, so like for instance, Samson gave me
Blockstream J, the token, maybe.
it was
Or,
like a webcam token.
yes.
And so
You can deposit.
So I did deposit and I see it, and then now it's showing an actual name for it, but initially it just said like a token number.
Right. Like before in Marina, right? We wasn't showing tone token because basically all this is in the contract hash, like issuance in the transaction, but it's not in clear text. It's like an hash, so it need to be verified because it's written in a Blockstream registry. but it's actually there. So maybe it was some time because the app was contacting the blockchain registry server.
It wasn't confirmed yet. Now
Yeah.
that it is, it shows it's
Exactly.
doing well.
Yes.
Would that mean that when Samsung sent that, use the reassurance key or?
Yes, probably they issue more of them, so maybe they issue like, I don't know, 100 of these webcam token, and then maybe they have more webcam in the store coming, so they need to reissue more token because they basically, it's like a redemption token in their own
It's not
e-commerce.
they really-
Yeah. So, okay, sorry, I was talking, I forgot to send. I'm sending one tether to the first guy in the Telegram chat. I don't need to know who he is. So, of course, not very confidential, the fact that I'm going to DuckDuckGo and to create a QR code, but bear with me, is one tether. So you can change address next time. It will change the next address.
Of the wallet.
Okay, the first transaction has been sent, so in 1 minute you will see in the wallet the first user here. I don't know who he is. Okay, so
Who did you send it to?
the first.
Me. I don't know.
Okay, you should see in like less than 1 minute. Okay, you get one tether, so you can trade that tether for BTC right now, and you don't need to have any BTC to trade because the market maker is subsidizing for you the transaction fee. Yes, you just do maybe the opposite, right? Because you want like to get Bitcoin and you give to them like tether.
So I changed this, but I only see. It's,
Okay, one second.
sorry.
I don't see.
I'll go to you soon. So if I want to do this now, if you select this, I only see.
Okay.
So yes, you move this up and then you receive.
Okay. So, you for example want to sell, your tether
Yeah.
and calculate the price of the market maker.
But if I want to change this to something else.
The fact that the provider now are only, as I remember, they're only offering like Tether versus BTC and BTC and LCAD.
Okay,
so there is no
limited.
LCAD Tether. So if tomorrow new market maker just want to offer LCAD Tether only, will appear this version. At the moment, all are like the other pairs with BTC. Yes, exactly. And you will- very simple. So I'm sending BTC on the second bit fanatic. Okay. Hope you guys offer me a beer later or something for this tether. No, I'm just-
Sure, I can send back to you in a moment.
no, we'll be fine, just to try to get it back. So, yeah, of course, if you have any question or like, just, I think that. Sorry, okay, maybe microphone. You know, because every market maker needs to advertise his own liquidity, so in the protocol. So you kind of know how much is the maximum that in the network now is available for.
If you put 100,000, if you won't get.
In Bitcoin.
Sorry.
Let's say I'm Satoshi, I want to market sell 1 million Bitcoin.
Of course, you need to have a market maker that have that liquidity. So it's the same in centralized exchange, right? So you need to have liquidity for
The
that.
pair won't show up, then that's the communicate. That's the.
Or it will
signal.
just tell you like there is not enough liquidity.
It will-
It will not let you. Okay, I sent some BTC to the second one.
Please come with us. You have the key. You want something.
One second. Let me sending all the.
And how many confirmations are required to actually be able to spend it? Once you receive it?
On Liquid, do you mean?
Yeah.
1 minute, one confirmation is the minimum. The second confirmation is the what we call finality, so it cannot be reversed in Liquid after
So
2 blocks.
max, after one you can do it.
After 1, you can already spend your coin, like in. Okay, I send Tether to the 4 guy, Ben.
To this address.
Okay.
Whatever I have converted from your.
Okay, you have BTC, but maybe it's not enough. 0, 0, 0.
Maybe.
Yeah, because maybe you need more for fees.
Okay, so there isn't enough.
A bit. Let's do like I don't know, a bit less.
All right.
Like
Okay.
0.5.
So who wants it?
I think.
We're
Just,
almost.
you're just
Completed,
yeah.
yeah.
You're just playing with this.
Get it from both?
Should be on the way. Right.
Who's Ben?
You were asking who's done?
Yeah. Should I send it to you?
You want money?
Oh, do I want money?
Yeah.
Where is it now? Where is it now? I don't know.
With all details pending, so it's probably a minute away. Complete.
So I think just the last thing, just since we are here, you can even trade in the browser, like like it's very popular, like Uniswap kind of in the browser, which is very similar to the mobile app in the end. Let's buy like for example one LCAD.
But as you mentioned, this is only showing this particular market maker.
All the market makers that are in the network. So
All of them.
yeah.
In here. So the pairs that are here.
Are only the one that offer it. I would say they are aggregated, right?
So all of them, they only actually utilize those 3 pairs at the
Yes,
moment.
yes. I would say that besides security token, those are the bigger like token that can be
Nothing
traded.
else much is really happening. at the
Not
moment.
yet, not yet. There is no Shiba token.
No, I'm just saying
yeah.
the world, yeah. Mainly, so there's plenty of Canadians Ben, on the liquid, since there is a...
Yeah, the fun fact that I remember that was like when we had the mobile app, everyone was like going to TDEX to trade LCAD because it was like the best interface that was like around. It was even easier than using Bull Bitcoin at some point.
You use LCAD to switch it for Bitcoin on Bull Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, maybe that's good.
So it's taking some time, mostly because everyone is under Tor. So as you saw before, like it can be fast or slow depending on the.
It's Telegram, yeah.
Which one?
It's like the...
Oh, I am.
Doesn't pay me.
Well, it's not.
Oh, you're not on it? Okay.
You got some?
It's a different bank.
It's a different band.
Oh, that's a different bank?
Yeah.
Oh,
Could be idea.
sorry, man. I only sent half. I can send the other half to you.
So in this process, basically, the trader can reject if he doesn't want, right? So
So this is, as mentioned, similar to what say Uniswap.
yeah.
And it's just evolving at the moment. The liquid thing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the Liquid platform is not that like popular. Yeah, my opinion, especially like I would say not the kids finance, but like the big boys finance, like security tokens are very popular there actually. Like Blockstream
What's
is.
the adoption rate? Like, is anyone look? Is there any I don't know, graphs or any indicators that show that there is more and more adoption, or how many market makers are there? What's
Yeah. You mean on TDEX?
yeah. Like,
Makes sense.
I think that the registry, the number of people that register in the network, at the moment there are 4. So which is, in my opinion, we just released it like before summer. So I think that, and another indicator I think is the number of BTC pegged on Liquid, which at the moment are like 3,500.
Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Okay. 3,000 BTCs blocked.
3,000. Yeah, exactly. And those are one-on-one verifiable, right? So you can verify how much Bitcoin. Yes, there is a process where you need to go through the federation, of course. So in a sense, that's why people say, okay, it's not decentralized, right? So in the sense, because the federation can withhold your funds, but the idea behind Liquid is literally that being a federation, so many entities, one in a different jurisdiction and so on, they cannot be like co-opted at the same time, everyone, right? So you need to corrupt every entity in every jurisdiction, or maybe if there is some, like, we'll say, state attack on that side, being confidential transaction by default, you cannot censor a specific transaction. Either you block the entire network or nobody. So that's also, the confidential transaction is very important, I guess, in this kind of proof of authority sidechain, because nobody can targeting a specific transaction to be censored, right, or to be blocked, like.
So you can get in that transaction that's anonymous and then get out.
Nobody, exactly. So when you deposit, nobody can link your deposit and your withdrawal from Liquid, like, right? So.
So I'm curious, these confidential transactions, is this kind of a way of kind of cleaning the coin too, right? Or is there any way to kind of unwind that?
But I mean, consider the thing that you still see the Bitcoin being deposited, right? Because Bitcoin is public, so you still see that, and you still see the Bitcoin going out. So I'm just saying that that there is some Bitcoin layer still, analysis going on, right?
Maybe the question would be if you I don't know how you call it, you deposit or you get into the Liquid network. So you put 1 Bitcoin there. Then you start doing whatever you're doing. It's not visible, right?
Yep.
It's anonymous. But then, so it left your wallet, and then when you want to go out to Bitcoin again, something's coming back. Is it the same?
Yes, it's not.
Or is something else?
Cannot be linked. Exactly, cannot be linked because technically you are depositing on a multi-sig.
So there is a difference.
On the Liquid blockchain, it's linked. So if you do PEGI, it's linked all the way. So
Okay.
if you want privacy, you need to do coin join on the
Exactly.
Liquid as well.
Exactly, I was answering that. So you need to do coin join, and atomic swaps are coin join. So will give you plausible deniability much more, definitely. So the thing that technically there is no way to link the what you peg in and what you peg out, because they are all in the same multi-sig. So first come, first get served, right? That get out. So. Yeah.
So I think it's whatever speakers are left. We'll probably just get everyone here, and you can ask questions to Tiero about what he just did, or any other questions to just close down the conference. Before we do that, however, I want to bring up Simon from Mempool Space to do an announcement about the Bitcoin City. We can probably bring the poster forward as well, and a new meetup here in Dubai, and for people like yourself, Bitcoin enthusiasts. Take it away, Simon.
Hi. Yeah, so basically, since both me and a couple of other guys here have been moving to Dubai recently, we're planning to launch a Bitcoin-only meetup here, and we're calling it Bitcoin City Dubai. So we hope to make it a regular meetup, and we want to launch a website. We want to spread information on how how Bitcoiners can live a good life in Dubai, how to get residence in Dubai, how to spend Bitcoin, maybe how to use Bitcoin to buy property, to buy visa, doing all this stuff, like a whole catering service for Bitcoiners. So I suggest you to follow our Twitter account currently, which is BitcoinCityDXB. So we will post further information there. So this project we just started thinking about just a couple of weeks ago, and so that is roughly what we're planning to do. So that's what I wanted to announce here. Thank you.